Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more. Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 1, titled The Desperate Kingdom of Love. Air date September 21st, 2004, and the synopsis is:
After Lucas and Keith learn that Dan had a heart attack and is still in the hospital, they decide it is best for them to return to Tree Hill. When Deb learns about Haley and Nathan's marriage, she grows hostile. Meanwhile, angry that Lucas left Tree Hill without saying goodbye, Peyton and Brooke try to mend their friendship.
So, it was a little weird how it started.
Well, the recap was pretty long, I think.
I skipped it.
Oh, okay.
Well, it said skip, so I went skip. I don't need to see it because
I know, like they included too many clips, so I didn't need to be needed on that.
I didn't need to, yeah, so that's why I just hit skip. But yeah, I mean, it opens with everyone at the funeral home.
Well, as I said, the theme song, we see new clips.
I skipped all that.
Well, I'm just pointing out because it's brand new. Because the theme song plays with new clips, of course, of everyone, along with Barbara now, aka Deb, added to the intro now. She wasn't in the first one, so I just want to point that out.
I didn't know she wasn't in the intro for the first one.
Yeah.
So it opens with everyone at the funeral home, thinking Dan's dead.
Yeah.
And Nathan is beside him. And I'm not gonna lie, I was waiting for him to scare Nathan, but instead he scared Barbara or Deb.
Yeah.
And so I don't get it because again, Deb's just crying and I'm just annoyed because every single one of those people wanted Dan dead at some point, and it's I can't with these people. They hate him so much, but it's when it comes down to it, you want him alive.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Deb goes up there and then he does scare her. And apparently it was her dream or more nightmare.
Yeah. And he said that she killed him and called her a bitch too.
Yeah. But I did when Nathan was up there, Lucas came up behind him, put his hand on his shoulder for comfort.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was just weird how it opened because, we know he ain't dead.
Yeah, so she was dreaming that in Dan's hospital room, he was still unconscious. And then the next scene is Nathan and Haley, now their apartment, both of theirs, where they're in bed and Nathan is watching her sleep. And then she wakes up and says she had a strange dream that they got married.
I can't.
And he says it's weird because he had the same one. And then tell us they actually
I have an issue with this scene. Because, I'm like the continuity police over here. And I have an issue because, remember the finale, Lucas came to the door. They were wide awake, obviously, remember? She was naked. And Lucas was leaving first thing in the morning and stuff.
Right.
So I'm just so confused. I'm now all of a sudden, oh yeah, he's just going to sit there and watch her sleep? Huh? Did they forget Lucas went to the apartment in the finale?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
You know what I mean? It's one thing if we didn't know Lucas came to the door. But the fact that was a big deal, it was a big part of the finale because he was shocked. And that's where we learned that they were married. So how do you go from that to she's sound asleep and he's just watching her? And then they talk about, oh, it was a dream of wouldn't you have said all that before Lucas came? You know what I mean? This scene looks like it was supposed to be before Lucas came to the door. But instead it's not. They acted like it never happened.
Yeah, because the same scene, that's when Nathan gets a call about Dan, but then if that would happen in that order,
then he would have told Lucas.
Yeah.
And they would have been headed out. All of them.
Yeah.
But instead, he gets, when Keith gets the call, they're already in, where are they going? Charlotte?
Yeah.
So they're already there, which means hours before, early in the morning, Lucas went to the apartment and they were wide awake. It's not like he woke them up. So I'm just so confused at at this scene because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. They were supposed to be already up, and I just don't get it.
Right, yeah.
Do you? I mean,
No.
what time of day is this? They're acting like it's first thing in the morning, but again, if all of that has happened and Lucas is already in Charlotte, it can't be first thing in the morning.
Right.
I mean, did they go back to bed? But then again, the first time you woke up, you would have had that discussion of, did we just get married? You know what I mean?
Right.
All that should have happened the first wake up. So the fact that they're acting like this is the first wake up doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
What I'm confused about is who wrote the last episode.
I don't know.
Because the creator of the show wrote this one. And wouldn't he have been part of the finale? So how do you ignore that part?
Yeah, it has him listed as one of the writers for the season 1 finale along with Karen Usher.
So it just doesn't make any sense that, and again, if it's your show, you would know what's going on in it, right? Especially if you're invested. Because, yeah, some creators leave, but this one never left. So it's like, you would know what happened. And if you knew what happened, you wouldn't put this as, like, kind of the opening scene and first thing in the morning. It didn't make any sense to me. But I'm like, but this whole episode didn't make any sense. It was definitely like the episode of like, nothing in the show makes sense anymore. You know what I mean? Because all of the flashbacks, it just, again, the continuity just does not make any sense.
Yeah, because it says the first episode of this season was written by the creator and then story editor with 2 other people.
But that's what I mean is if you wrote it, wouldn't you write it to make sense?
Right.
That's what I can't... Like, it's one thing. Remember how we talked about Dawson's Creek and that creator, he wrote the finale, but he wasn't a part of season 4, 5, and 6. So he wasn't aware, really. I mean, I'm sure they told him probably things, but he wasn't aware of details that happened in all those seasons. So for him to write the finale, it's like, I guess he gets a pass because he wasn't there. But this one was here. So I don't get it.
Right.
It doesn't. Did you like the opening though? Like this whole episode of like the opening of season 2. I didn't like it.
Well, I didn't even realize, so I just thought it was a nice moment between Haley and Ethan.
I didn't. I was still confused the whole time.
And then we go to the beach where we see Keith walking to Lucas, who has a new buzz cut.
I can't. Okay, I can't with everyone's... Okay, like, we all know Haley has a different haircut. It bothers me because it's supposed to be the next day.
I didn't notice her hair change either.
Because she had bangs. And I'm like, it bothers me because, again, it's one thing if, like, next week you go and get a haircut. But the fact that we're going off of season 1 finale, everyone has to have the same stuff in order to continue it. And then y'all can go get haircuts.
Right, yeah, because Hillary had said that they, were strict of her and her hair, her hairstyles and color and everything, so.
I don't think they were with Joy.
Right.
Because every season she has a new hairstyle and a hair color. So I don't think they looked at her. I think they looked at maybe Sophia and Hillary because they both had kind of the same. I mean, I think in one season Sophia lightens it a little, but she still has a dark hair.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, Lucas gets a haircut, which I guess is fine. I guess in the morning when he got to Charlotte, he went down and got himself a haircut. I guess that's understandable. He's got nothing to do. But Haley, when did she have time to go get a haircut?
I don't know. But Keith had called him Felicity from his new look. I don't know if that was a reference to the show Felicity.
I'm guessing, but I never saw Felicity.
Yeah, I've only seen maybe the first 1 or 2 episodes.
I have a question. Is it boring?
Yeah, it seemed like a slow start because it started off with like her last day of high school.
That's why I couldn't watch Ally McBeal. I tried. I tried to watch like the first episode and I went, all right, turn it off. Like it was worse than Dawson's Creek. So I turned it off. I was like, I can't watch so slow. Like I can't. I fall asleep.
Because Hillary, Sophia, and Joy said they loved the show there. I think it does pick up at some point. I just didn't get there. I mean, the thing that did kind of hook me was the fact that she kind of followed her high school crush to the same college, like at the last second, because she got the impression that he liked her when he actually didn't. He just like kind of being nice to her. So
isn't that creepy?
No, I'm just saying that.
No, it's not creepy.
I mean, it was.
I mean, aren't you supposed to pick the college you want to go to because you want to go to it, not because your crush is going to it?
Right. She just thought that he had the same feelings, so like they could start a relationship or something. I think it was just stupid on her part, if anything. But
that's what I mean. Is you're really going to base it off of some guy,
right?
Like it's one thing if you're together, you know, but you don't even know if he really likes you. That's weird.
Right. Yeah. So then Keith adds, at least the town looks nice, and Lucas agrees and says they're going to like it there.
I'm going to be honest. When I watched this, I was like, oh, Keith and Lucas have a few beach scenes.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really remember that part. Because I only remember them getting there and then them having to go back as a Dan. So I'm just like, oh, they actually were there for the whole episode. Because I thought they had returned at some point earlier. I don't know why, but I just thought so.
And then there's more of the continuous. Yes. Because it seemed like that they were only there for even less than a day, maybe. And then later on, Lucas mentions that they were there, that he was gone for a few days. So that's, incorrect.
Wait, when did he say that?
I think later on. At some point, maybe the next episode.
Well, I didn't watch the next episode.
Yeah, I'm just going, by memory and everything, so. And most people who listen to us probably already saw this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't remember him saying that they were there for a couple days. I'm like, it wasn't in this episode, so I don't know.
I was just pointing out because it was obvious they were only there for one day, so.
Barely.
Yeah, they didn't unpack or anything.
Well, it seems like they got there. He had to go into work to get ready. I don't know. And then Lucas was just wandering around. Like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And the fact that, and then they decided when Keith got back that same day, it seemed like they decided to leave. So they weren't even there really that day. I mean, for longer than 24 hours. Yeah. So it's definitely, I feel like, less than 24 hours.
Yeah, because that first scene after at the end, that's when Keith's phone rings about Dan. It was a private caller, so I don't know if that was...
Do you think it was the hospital?
Maybe, because he's next of kin, I guess.
No, I was thinking maybe Deb called him from the hospital phone.
Yeah, maybe if she didn't have her cell phone.
Or maybe it died, because she's been at the hospital all night, so maybe her phone died.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Because I don't think, I don't know if hospitals have chargers now, but I feel like everywhere,
No,
But it's kind of like, you definitely didn't have phone chargers anywhere back in 2004. You know what I mean? So you would have to bring one. And I don't even know if they really truly had a whole bunch of plugins.
Right.
So yeah, so her phone probably did die, so she was using the hospital phone. That's what I got out of it. Because the only one that knew was Deb. Because Karen didn't know.
Right.
And Nathan only knew because his mom called him. Otherwise, nobody knew that Dan was in the hospital. I mean, Whitey didn't know that he was in the hospital. So I think it was Deb, just her phone died or something.
Yeah, and then Dan's parents never brought up again.
Oh my God, that was my issue too with the opening scene. Well, if he's dead, why isn't his parents there?
Right, yeah.
And it bothered me too later on when Deb was going off and how, we don't know if he's going to make it. And I'm just like, then where's his parents? Like, if he's that sick and dying, where is his parents?
Right.
Like, especially his mom. Like, he seemed like a mama's boy. So where's his mother? Like, I get maybe he had a falling out with his dad because of the last episode that, the only episode they were in. But his mom would have been there. Like, maybe Royal wouldn't, but his mom would have been.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, too, they couldn't, fit them into the episode, or maybe couldn't get both of them, but I feel like...
Why couldn't they have said it?
Yeah, and I feel like if they couldn't get both, they should at least have gotten one, so, that one could explain why the other one isn't there, so...
Well, again, you don't have to pay them. You could just say they went back to the hotel to get some sleep. So it would, like, we as the audience know they're there. We don't see them, but they're there.
Yeah, like how they said the River Court boys visited Lucas.
Or remember how Haley's parents are always, like, kind of uptight and, you know, like when she calls, like she has to call her parents to let them know where she's at and stuff. It's like, which again, I don't think that's uptight. I just think that's being a parent. But I'm just saying it's like that. We don't have to see them. We just have to know who they are. Like, you know what I mean? And their intentions. And the fact that Deb never says anything about his parents, I'm like, we've seen them. That's the other problem, is if we never saw them, it would have been like, Karen, okay, maybe they just dropped, you know, contact with her. You know what I mean? But the fact that we have seen them doesn't make any sense of why they wouldn't be there. I get, like, Nathan. Like, when he was in the hospital, I mean, Dan didn't even tell Deb.
Right.
So I get why he didn't tell his parents about their grandson. But this is their own son. And Deb, realistically, I feel like she would have told them. So realistically, they should have thrown... And how long does it take to say a quick sentence about them?
Right, yeah.
Like, when she was going off on Nathan, she should have been like, well, at least, like, hit, you know, your grandparents are here. You know, I don't know. It could have been, like, at any point, it could have been, like, thrown in there. But it's just weird how they're not mentioned at all, but yet their son is dying.
Right. And at Karen's cafe, there's a kid that comes walking by with a basketball and a hoodie like Lucas. And Karen looks like she saw, like, a younger version of Lucas in that moment, and she even, like, follows him around the building, looking through the windows at the kid, which would look creepy to anyone in that saw her, you know?
Well, I was just thinking how nice it would to own your own place of business, let's just say. Because she saw that and was like, and flipped over the sign to close. And I was like, well, wouldn't that be nice? Like, I don't feel like working today, so I'm just going to close it down today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I also don't have staff, really, that I have to notify them not to show up.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just me.
Yeah, technically she has supposedly Haley still, and Deb is a partner, but that has never really been brought up again for a good minute.
Well, I mean, she was there, remember, when she got the papers.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like it's not a priority thought-wise right now, so I keep forgetting.
Well, I know. You would be like, well, where's Deb? Because remember, she finds out. Yeah, she finds out later on when she's going to visit Whitey.
Yeah. That
he's in that, like.
Yeah, I know. That didn't make sense.
Because, like, if we're business partners and I'm not there, you'd be like, where is she? Like, she's supposed to be here today.
Yeah.
You know, and you would think that somebody would cover you for a break, which would be Deb, even if it's an hour. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of weird that, like, she doesn't even know or care where Deb is. Like, aren't they supposed to be friends? Didn't they become friends? Didn't we hear? And yet she doesn't even...
Business partners.
Yeah, but it's just weird how she doesn't even care where she's at. But yeah, well, nobody... Well, and two, think if there was people actually in... Was there anyone in the cafe? I don't think so. No. But think if there was somebody in the cafe and she had closed it. It'd been like, time for you to leave. Yeah. It'd have been like, well, I still didn't get my breakfast.
Right, yeah. That reminds me of Luke and Gilmore Girls. He's done that, I think.
Oh, yeah, when he just, like, get out and everybody's like, I'm in the middle of eating.
Yeah, it's like full, yeah.
Didn't he say take your meal or something? I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it was, when Richard was in the hospital, so he had to take Lorelai, so I think that's what he said, like...
Why couldn't Caesar, like, once he was done cooking, just watch everybody and then...
I don't know if he was there yet, I'm not sure.
It's just kind of weird, like...
Yeah, because for a good minute, it was like Luke was the only one that was there working, so... Yeah. Karen, basically.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird, because I'm like, there should be at least someone there, right?
Yeah.
Well, and two, like, Karen, like, Haley's supposed to work there, like, every day after school or something, or every other day, and she doesn't even question why Haley's not there?
Right, yeah, I don't know.
Like, all of a sudden, Deb and Haley can just take off when they please.
Mm-hmm.
Jake is far gone. Did he even tell his boss, Karen, that he was out?
Nope,
It's like...
that wasn't discussed either. So.
And you would think, because Karen had done and everything she could for you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, over and beyond, you would think that you would give her some sort of, like, explanation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she would understand. That's the whole thing. Is Karen, out of anyone on the show, would understand Jake's point, especially because Dan wanted custody of Lucas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, too, don't you think that that could have been, like, a good scene for Karen to kind of help Jake?
Yeah.
Like, Peyton just wants to send him off the grid. But, like, Karen could have come with her own perspective, because she's been through it, and she's been through it with a wicked man.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I can do it, I can help you.
Right.
Like, be his mentor. And I just feel like we didn't get that opportunity to see them bond and her to give advice. Isn't that what they're supposed to do on the show?
Yeah, both Jake and Haley, at least, you know, baby-wise, they go through similar things Karen did. So.
Yeah, and you just think that Karen would be more a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it just doesn't really make any sense. I mean, even later on when Haley is pregnant, it's not like Karen's really involved.
Yeah.
Like you would think she would be.
Yeah, like they have like one moment, and I think that was it, basically.
Yeah, and you would think that, especially, you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You have nobody, so who would you go to? Karen.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then we go to Peyton's house where she's painting her bedroom wall with writing that's
with the song that's playing in the background.
Oh, I didn't listen to the song.
Well, I heard the last line that she was writing or painting, and I was like, oh, isn't that just or I don't know the word, but it's just like kind of funny that you know, it's the same music that's playing, like same song.
Was she writing? I couldn't read out what she was writing because it was like red lettering on a black background.
I just saw the last line.
Was it the lyrics to the song then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I just thought it was funny that it's the same song that's playing for us, and she's writing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then she added that drawing of Jake and Jenny the day they left in the boat.
Well, I mean, she can't put up Lucas, could she?
No.
In case Brooke ever comes in.
Right.
Like, I do think Peyton probably misses him because, you know, they did have a friendship. But let's be honest, if she wants Brooke as her friend, she can't put up Lucas's face.
Right.
Or any of his artwork that she did of him, because, well, that would just symbolize she likes him. Even though it could just mean she misses the friendship. But Brooke would take it as, you're in love with him. Because I was thinking that. I'm like, she could put up Lucas, but she can only put up Jake. Because Brooke walks in, and it's like, oh, see, I don't have to hide anything.
Yeah, and then Payne had asked her, you know, does anyone ring the doorbell in this town? So now she has a problem, apparently, with people going to her house unannounced.
I have another problem. Who was in the finale that said, let's do something fun today?
Brooke.
Okay. Then we flash forward now to this scene, or, you know, to this episode where they're finally doing something fun, which is the boat. And I was just kind of like, wouldn't that have been the same time Brooke had said, let's do something fun today? But they were in bed when she said it. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't this have been the continuation? Because it's all the same day.
I don't know. I can't keep track.
I was like so confused. Yeah. I'm like, they were in bed. And Brooke, you know, let's be honest, neither one of them really have parents around. So it's like, why would Brooke leave? Maybe, I guess, to get the keys to the boat. I don't know, but Peyton acted like she knew nothing. I don't know. It just didn't make sense. I'm like, they were just together. And then Peyton's all mad, like, that she just walked in. And I'm like, but you guys were just, like, you had a sleepover. And yet, you're mad at her? Right. But she also said, let's do something fun. So it didn't make any sense. Again, from the last episode to this one, it's the same day, and it doesn't make any sense. And also, it made no sense that she would even tell Brooke, doesn't anybody ring the doorbell? I'm like, no, Peyton, nobody in this town rings the doorbell. And also, it's your best friend. Why would she need to ring the doorbell?
Right.
Like, especially if your house is already unlocked, why would she need to?
Yeah.
Like, so Brooke has to, but nobody else does?
But Brooke did say that it's day 2 of the Brooke and Payne and Hose Over Bros reunion tour, so maybe this was the day
No,
after?
because remember, she had helped with Nikki, getting rid of Nikki.
Oh, so that was day 1 then?
I guess.
Apparently?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess their little celebration was, I don't know, because when was the Nikki thing? Because when we saw them, it was at the game, which was the night before. I don't know.
I guess the Nikki thing was the day before that. And they didn't count yesterday because they had the game, and now
Right.
today is the second day. But
I guess so. I don't think they know their math either.
Mm-hmm. So before Brooke walks out of the room, Payne was going to follow her. She grabs the letter for the both of them that Lucas had left on her door. So then we flash back to the moment she found the letter in the handout.
You know, in the girly handwriting?
Mm-hmm. And then back to the present where Brooke calls her.
Okay, can I also say, do you remember when we saw those cards? It was in this first season, but remember when the teacher was like, oh, you need to write something what was it? I don't remember the sign.
Just like looking for, like you want.
Yeah, in the future or something. Yeah. And like one of them was answers and the other one was like the truth. And well, okay, none of those handwritings matched this one. And one was supposed to be Lucas's. So I'm like, shouldn't you have made the same person or at least try to resemble the same person's handwriting that wrote that one?
Yeah, I guess that wasn't really...
See, these are my problems. Like, it has to make sense.
Well, I don't really care about the handwriting.
I did, because it didn't look like it would have been his handwriting.
Yeah, I feel like they should just have the actors do that.
I know. Like when they had Keith write it on the box. Why couldn't they just have Chad quick write Brooke and Payne?
Right.
I don't get it.
They should just have the actors write whatever their actors or their characters are supposed to write, unless it's like a letter or something. But
yeah,
if it's like a few words, then just have the actor do it.
I don't get it at all. I'm like, you could have simply just had him write their names.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, so we go back to the present day where Brick calls Peyton Blondie Goldilocks and come on. So then Peyton quickly puts the envelope in her purse and takes it with her.
Okay, you're trying to repair your friendship. Also, okay, now that we're talking, Lucas had went to the door that morning. Clearly, Brooke and Peyton were probably still sleeping or in her room, right? When Brooke had left that morning, wouldn't she have seen the envelope?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know any of these answers.
Unless Peyton had...
woke up.
But she didn't, because we saw the flashback of her grabbing it. And Brooke was already gone.
Yeah,
so,
unless she went down when Brooke was still sleeping, but I don't know.
But it seemed like she was locking up. I don't know. It made no sense. I'm like, Brooke was the first one clearly to have left that morning.
Right.
Wouldn't she have picked it up? And then now we're going to act like Brooke knew nothing. Brooke never spent the night, Cynthia, but yet we saw her.
Right. Yeah, so back in the apartment, he's turning his phone around his hand, messing with it from Warrior's dress. And then Haley walks in to the bedroom and she asks if it's bad news. And Nathan says his dad's in the hospital. He had a heart attack. She asks if he's going to be okay. He doesn't know. That's all Deb had said in the voicemail. And he says that he has to go see him. Then Haley says she'll go with him, but maybe they shouldn't tell his parents that they're married yet until he recovers. Nathan tells her they're going to find out, and Haley explains she saw Dan before the game, and he wasn't even happy about them dating.
I did like, though, when he said we're married now, I'm never going to hide that.
Right, yeah. So then apparently Brooke's dad has a boat, shows she's taking Payne on it, and Payne is nervous about getting on it without Brooke's dad, who would usually drive, and Brooke just says it's like driving a car. It's just on water and without a speed limit. Isn't there a speed limit, though, still? At least common sense wise, so you don't like turn over or something?
No.
No, I would think so. Just like flip over or something?
No, you just have to watch the waves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like if it's a very choppy day, you can't go that fast.
Yeah, so just the way Brooke said it just seemed like she was going to go as fast as she wanted no matter what, so.
Well, I mean, if it's wide open, you can.
Yeah, so Payne's still hesitating, and Brooke says that they're practically a Burr commercial. Like, it would be wrong for them not to take it. So then Haley walks in, and Payne is still hesitating, and Brooke says that they're practically a Burr commercial. Like, it would be wrong for them not to take it. So then Haley walks in, and Payne is still hesitating, and Brooke says that they're practically a Burr commercial. Like, it would be wrong for them not to take it. And then she tells Payne, that's his friend, to get on the boat, and they take off. And then at the hospital, Deb asks the doctor if Dan being unconscious like this is normal. The doctor says yes and no. He's sedated from the angioplasty and had from his major heart failure. He could be unconscious for a while. And then Deb asks if it would have mattered if she called sooner for help. Then the doctor says, I'm going to assume the earlier the better, but she called as soon as she could. Then we go back to that night where Deb found Dan on the floor at the beach house. We see him again say to her she better hope he dies. She then throws her flip phone that's open on the floor and tells him to dial 911 himself. Then tells him she came here to apologize even though he's been the assiest ass on the planet for the better part of their lives, their marriage lives. And he begs her to help him now. She's considering it. And then when he loses consciousness, that's when she starts panicking and picks up her phone.
Now, if you remember the finale, it seemed like when Deb had come to see him and she finally got on the it just seemed very slow. But then this one was like quick. She comes in and she runs to the floor and and then he says, you better hope I die. I'm like, that all was very slow last episode. They fastened it up. I didn't like it. I'm like, why couldn't they just have let it? I also didn't like how we had to see the same thing and then continue. I hated that. I'm like, it was most of the episode. It's like I didn't really learn anything new.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it was they weren't sure if they were going to get it picked up for another season, so they didn't write it very,
But why did we have to see the same scene over and over again?
I know, they could just showed him on the floor losing consciousness, it
could have been picked up right after he had said, you better hope I die. And then she stands up. We didn't need to see the full thing of her walking in again. It was the same thing of each clip from the past episode. I didn't need to see the whole thing again. To me, that was just a waste of the episode.
Yeah. And then we go back to the hospital in present day where Deb tells Dan, who's still out, that she's sorry. I think she shouldn't feel sorry because he was rather choosing death than getting help from her. So I hate that she was laying it, making her feel guilty about it when she shouldn't have. And then Lucas finds Keith on the beach, still looking out at the ocean. He asks who died, and Keith says that it's Dan. He had a heart attack, And then back at Haley and Nathan's apartment, they're getting ready to go see
can I just say something?
About a shirt? And that's another?
No. About the doctor.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No.
That is Mel Silver from Beverly Hills 90210.
Okay, so I didn't really watch the series.
No, but Paul Johansson was in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't like him in that either, but but yes, I just thought it was cute. I'm like, oh, look who it is.
Yeah, so then Nathan can't find his gray shirt, but Haley finds it, and then we go back to the night before.
And we had to watch the whole thing again.
And then, Nathan tells Haley he could love her forever. She says so could she. Nathan says that she's her family. He's her family. Nope. She's his family now. And the true thing he has, and he never wants to lose her.
It would have been cute if the continuity wasn't a problem.
And then,
the problem is, I love the show, but I hate being so judgmental about it. But it's kind of like with this episode, I just feel like I have to.
And then Nathan tells her to marry him, and she tells him to stop, that's embarrassing, he's embarrassing her, and he asks why not.
Okay, I have a question. This all stemmed from the fight.
Right?
Okay, I have an issue because when he went to see her that day at her house, they never acted like tonight's the game in that episode or in that scene. Do you know what I mean? It just seemed like they had all the time in the world. And then all of a sudden they're at his apartment, which means they ran all the way there. And it just doesn't make anything make sense over here in the Naley world.
Yeah, she says they can't because they're still in high school. And he says, points out that he's emancipated, so he could.
She's not even a senior.
Yeah, that was
Oh my
later when
God.
she was with the
I don't
students.
care. It's still annoying.
I thought it was funny when she said that.
No, because I don't even care. Like, I agree with her dad.
And then Haley asks if this is about sex because she wants to wait, and he says no.
I can already see you're caving in on that one.
Yeah. And she says couples don't get married in high school. It's not normal. He says he's not normal. And what he's feeling isn't normal. He doesn't ever want to be normal, not with her. And then he says he'll love her forever again, so why can't forever start today?
Because you're in high school. Mm-hmm. Dummy.
And then it flashes back to the present day with her still holding his shirt. And then back.
So, I'm going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
At first, for that scene, it was all good. It was like they actually had gotten it right with her hair all wet, pulled back, But then when she was sitting up talking to him, her bangs fell. And I went, yep, that's her new hairstyle.
Yeah.
I was like, because remember, in the finale, she had just long hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't, she didn't have bangs, she didn't have parts of her hair that were short.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this doesn't make any sense. Because again, once I saw those bangs, I was like, nope. You can definitely tell it was an add-on scene.
Right.
Because remember, they tried to look like it by pulling her hair all the way back wet.
Mm-hmm.
But they made that mistake when it fell.
Right.
They should have, fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe pinned it.
Yeah. And then back to Keith and Lucas. They're looking at the view. Keith asks Lucas if he wants to talk about Dan. And Lucas asks if he thinks his mom knows. And Keith says, he doesn't know. And Lucas asks if she even cares. And Keith,
do you?
Yeah.
Clearly, Lucas does, because that's all he's concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said nothing at first, so Keith tells,
No, but if you're truly keep asking questions, it means you care.
Yeah. And Keith tells him that Dan's his birth father, and even though he's never been in his life, it wouldn't be wrong if he was concerned. And that's when Lucas acts like, would it be wrong to hope he dies?
No. Okay, again, wasn't it the last episode or whatever? Lucas had changed his heart with Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and blamed his mother, by the way. And now he wants him dead? I'm like, these are some extremes, okay? You were mad at your mom, which is a very twisted thing. And then you are now, well, I hope he dies. And I'm like, what? Again, you had just said what? A couple days ago, you basically wanted a relationship with the man and you had wished he had raised you. Now it's, I hope he dies. And also, what changed? It's not like he threatened to kill you. You know what I mean? In the last couple days. If anything, he was hard on Nathan. He treated you as he has this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what?
Yeah, in the game too, about him missing the basket,
I know, but again, that's just how Dan would treat Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing's new with that.
Right.
Like, he was harder on Nathan. Mm-hmm. Remember by saying, better go get somebody. My son has been beaten to death. It's like, that's a little extreme there, Dan. Mm-hmm. But for Lucas, I'm like, what changed? I don't get it. Do you?
No.
Do you understand? And also, let's be honest again, none of them want him dead. Because when it comes down to it, they all have a heart.
Mm-hmm. Unlike him.
Exactly. But he could have let Lucas die.
Right.
So none of them want each other dead. Mm-hmm. Not even Dan.
Yeah. And then back at the hospital with Dan, the doctor is saying he has a heart condition called HCM, where eventually it prevents the heart from pumping blood. And sometimes cardiac arrest is brought on by excessive physical activity or even stress. So that adds on to, Deb's guilt. Even though, again, it's not her fault. But then we go to...
Well, it's none of their faults. Dan inserts himself in everybody's issues and makes problems for everybody.
Yeah. And then another flashback at Deb's house where Dan is in his car rehearsing what he's going to say to Deb by saying he's made mistakes with her.
And he wants her in his life?
Yeah.
Strange.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have a question. When he walked in, though, from the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Did it even seem like he was ready to say something? Like, it just seemed like he was coming to be nosy again.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like he was coming because he wanted her back. I didn't get that reaction.
Right.
It looked like it was like when he saw Tim. It was like I'm coming over for something, to catch you in something.
Right.
It didn't really seem like he was coming over to apologize and make it right and get her back.
Yeah.
So I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
But for the first time when he was out in the car, we didn't see that we didn't see that was a flashback. It was just a previous thing. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, finally a new scene. But then, of course, we go back to the flashback.
Right. And then with Karen, she goes to visit Whitey in the hospital. He tells her they want to operate on him. It's a long story.
Okay, and so why doesn't he want... I don't get it.
Yeah.
You will be blind if you don't.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's like another Graham situation. Even though, his family is like the basketball team. And
well, he's got nobody. He has no kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, his family is his team. And
his wife died.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, Graham's... at least she had a grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have anyone. So it's like, if something happened to you, like if you died...
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, yes, everyone's going to be sad, but it's not like you're like, oh my God, I'm leaving all these people behind.
Right.
Sort of thing. So I just don't get it, because don't you just want to be better and see?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe too, he wants to join his wife. That could be it too. And then he mentions, does she think that this is what Lucas wanted? The silence for her would close in, and she'd want to have to get out and make some noise. That's when Karen says she was thinking about taking classes at the university, but she doesn't say for what. He yells at her to stop thinking about it and just do it. And he says that if he was her age, he would do everything and turn around and do it again, and wouldn't give a rat's ass who disapproved or what he looked like doing it. And to take it from him, when she's his age, she doesn't want to be in the hospital tangled up in that road she never traveled, just to make some time and take a few chances. And then we go to Brooke and Peyton, who are sunbathing on the boat. And Sophia and Hillary have said they fought to not have to wear bikinis during the scene, even though they ended up skinny dipping. So I don't know what the point in that was, really.
Me either. Because I remember that too from the podcast. And then I was like, good for them.
Yeah.
But then I saw the skinny dipping and I totally forgot that. And I was like, I mean, I remember when Brooke flashed the other boat, but I was like, oh, I totally forgot the skinny dipping.
Yeah. And then,
so I'm like, either way, you still took your clothes off.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
That's a concept, because they were wearing the nude, undergarments. But it was funny how Hillary has said that they were in really shallow water for that one scene, the skinny dipping, when they were splashing each other. Yeah. Because she can't swim. So I don't know if it's because of that or just because it was easier to do it in shallow water. So when she was in the pool too, I was thinking I think James must have had to hold her up most of the time when they were messing around in that scene. So
because he kind of jumped in with her, so it was probably...
That's probably why too he did that, instead of just pushing her and then jumping in,
Mm-hmm. And watching her go down.
It just made me think of that, because I can't swim either, so I would hate to do these scenes as well. And then,
well, I remember on High School Musical when Monique said she couldn't swim.
Mm-hmm.
And remember in the second movie, they had to jump in the water. And she said Corbin grabbed her hand and jumped with her. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was a nice touch and a nice friend to actually care about you that much.
Mm-hmm. And that was funny because Vanessa was the one that was almost drowning at the end of the movie. Because with the waves of everybody getting in and moving around was, going in her face.
But I also was thinking too, let's be honest, in that second movie, they were focused on Troy and Gabriella. So I'm like, at least they would have got you for a second in the water. It's not like, you'd have to truly be in the water and cameras are on you, because they're going to be on Zach and Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. And then, so Brooke has a whole day planned out for them, but then Payne tells Brooke that it's okay to miss Lucas. And Brooke says she doesn't really miss him lately, just maybe a little since he moved, but there's other fish in the sea.
Why would she miss him?
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
not like she's talked to him since.
Mm-hmm.
Since the pregnancy thing, she hasn't talked to him.
Right. Yeah, so Payne says that it's Lucas and Jake's loss. But I wouldn't really say, I don't think, the way she said Jake, it's not like he, like, left her. He was doing it for his daughter. So it wasn't about Peyton. So I didn't like how she added Jake in there, so. But Brooke tells Peyton she's, secretly pulling for her and Jake. And,
She only was pulling for him because it wasn't Lucas.
yeah. And Payne
Let's be honest. Yeah. Well, if she had liked him, she wouldn't have been pulling for him, would she?
Probably not, no.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's fine. You're interested in somebody. I'm not perfect.
And then Payne asks, like, even when she was at the top of her bitch list, and Brooke says yes, even then, because she wasn't into... Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean, yeah, because she wasn't into him. Yeah.
And then, that's when she does the flashing with the guys. And, then they talk about this skinny dipping. Yes, about the pool. And then back with Keith and Lucas. Keith is unpacking, a little bit, while Lucas is sitting down looking at the window. And Lucas tells Keith it's a waste to unpack since, they're going to go back anyhow. And that's when Keith asks why, like, is he a heart surgeon? And he says he wants Dan to get better too, but his future is here now, and he can't just go back, especially with his job that he just was supposedly supposed to start. Because, like, in real life, you couldn't just quit a job like that, because it's a school year, they wouldn't have...
You can quit anytime.
I know, but...
Unless you're an actor.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, teacher-wise, I feel like you would need to give them, like, a 2-week warning at least. And
not if there's a family emergency.
I know, but, like, Keith was, like, going to go back for good. He didn't go back for a day, You
can quit anytime. I did.
Yeah, but I'm just saying teaching-wise, it's just that job seems to be different. You can't just drop like that. Because they would have to, like, I mean, they have a substitute, but, like, as a main teacher, they would need time to find another one again that would, like, ruin the students' coursework for the year and stuff like that, so.
Nah, you can quit. I mean, you should give a 2 weeks notice, but I mean, for his circumstance, it's understandable because his brother is dying, so if he said, I'm going back because my brother's dying, he needs my help, blah, 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 I'm sure they'd understand. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
Plus, he's not a main teacher.
Well, he has to be for the auto shop. It's more of an elective class.
That's what I mean. He's not a main teacher. He's not teaching English.
Yeah, I just figured it'd be hard to find another one, too, after that, for that certain subject.
Yeah, you just go down the list of the next person you interviewed.
Yeah, maybe. Lucas says he doesn't want to go back either, but it doesn't feel right to stay. And that's when, Keith grabs a marker and writes on the box.
See, this is where he's actually using his handwriting.
Yeah. Pros and cons of going back and staying.
Of course, the one to stay is Dan. But isn't that the whole focus of the episode?
Right.
Like, that's all they're talking about is Dan. So, I feel like for these two, that'd be the one to go because they keep talking about it.
Yeah, so going down the list, like, another reason to stay is because Lucas screwed up with Brooke and Peyton.
Another one is Karen?
Yeah.
Which, wouldn't that be a reason for Lucas to go home?
Right.
I mean, and I didn't like... Keith is just... At this point, he's annoying. Oops. Like, I like Keith and all, but it's like, you're being a baby. You're running away. When he's like, well, I just can't. I have things I just can't go back to. And I'm like, Karen, that's the only... And obviously, because he's up and down. But it's like, you chose that, first of all. Both situations. You put yourself in the mess. So deal with the mess.
Right.
It's kind of like what he would tell Lucas, in the love triangle. It's like, you have to fix it. Him running away, what's that going to do?
Right.
Because Dan can find you in Charlotte, can he? It's like, do you think that all this is just going to be over with?
Right, and him doing that kind of gave Lucas the example, like he could do the same thing.
Right, so you're not teaching the boy a thing. Besides, it's okay to run away.
Right.
And not fix your mistakes. Or apologize for them. That's the whole thing. He didn't really... he only apologized to Dan because he got caught. I don't think it was... Because the problem with that is, if you were truly sorry, why would you do it in the first place? So, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, because we know that Deb didn't tell Karen about Keith. So.
That's the thing. She didn't tell her bestie that she slept with him.
But Deb,
okay, so how do you tell Deb? Like, if you're Deb, how do you tell Karen?
I don't know.
Like, this man that proposed to you, I slept with him.
So Keith told her about the proposal, Deb, right? She knows.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I can't remember. Because that would be definitely
because Dan knows.
She knew.
Yeah, but see, Dan knows. So I feel like Dan, you know how he is. I feel like when he wakes up, he would tell Deb, like, you know, your friend Karen, like, I mean, I don't know if this is what happens, but it's like, he'd be the one to say, like, you know, Keith, the one you slept with, proposed to her. Because he knows that. Because, remember, he said, oh, you're running because she said no. So he knows that. So in order to get back at Deb, like, to rub it in her face, like, of how terrible of a person she is, you know, and a friend, he would say something like that, you know? So I don't know how Deb's going to get through to that either. Is she really going to keep it a secret? The problem is Dan knows. So you really think he's not going to tell Karen?
Right.
But also, if you're Karen, what does it matter if they sleep together? You said no.
Yeah.
So you have to let him be happy, right? So if he sleeps with somebody else, even if you're close to him or whatever, like, oh well, you chose that.
And then back to the girls in the boat. Brooke admits that she's been thinking about Lucas, not about him leaving, but how he left. And like how he didn't say goodbye. And that's when Peyton says
she really wanted him to say goodbye.
I guess.
Okay, how is he going to say goodbye? She wasn't even talking to him. I mean, if somebody's not talking to you, you're not going to be like, so, I'm leaving. Goodbye. I mean, you're not going to have a goodbye. The person hates you.
Right. So yeah, so Payne pulls the envelope out of her purse and hands it to her. She says she's sorry and that she shouldn't have hid it from her.
Yes. And Brooke gets mad.
Yeah, because she's been carrying around the fact that Lucas left without, a word, and she had the words the entire time and didn't tell her.
Well, then she was like, oh, were you really going to open it without me? And she's like, I wouldn't have done that. It's like...
Yeah, I believe she wouldn't have done that.
Well, but my thing is, too, when was she planning on showing Brooke? Because she's had it in her bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so the next day, was she still going to carry it around? Like, how long was she going to carry it in her bag?
Right, I don't know. Maybe she would have showed her at the end of the day. I don't know.
After they had a good day, so she could ruin Brooke's day?
Yeah, I don't know. So then, Brooke says whatever, and they should go back to shore.
Yep, it's time to go, because I'm ready to throw you overboard.
Yeah.
That's what she should have... that's the line Brooke would have said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're just lucky I didn't throw you overboard.
And then Nathan and Haley get to the hospital. Nathan says to Haley that he can see his dad alone. She doesn't have to go with him. And she said it's okay. She wants to. And they stuck together with her parents after all. And then we get the flashback when Nathan walks into Dan's hospital room to Haley's parents' house when her and Nathan walked in.
I can't.
And then Haley tells Nathan no matter what happens next, she wants him to know that if her parents say yes, she would marry him.
All I know is this was a very long day. As in all the flashbacks for Nathan and Haley. Like, that was a very long day. Because she hung on Peyton. Then she went with Nathan. And then they almost slept together. But then they said, let's get married. So then she went to when's nighttime? Because... And then this is all right before the game. Which you know that the team has to be at the game probably at least, I would think, an hour before everybody else. So it's like, if the game starts at, 7? You'd have to be there at least by 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can get dressed, get ready, have the coach talk. Like, you got to be there. So it's kind of like, this day, I don't really think they understand that there's only 24 hours in a day. And a lot of it, you're sleeping too.
Yeah. So then Nathan and Haley walk into the kitchen to see the family friend, apparently Marion. Now, I'm not sure exactly why they brought this character in just to never show her again. Because she could have been easily like Skill or Fergie's mom to give her like more of a sensible reason to be there. Even if it's for one scene the whole series, Hillary did mention that Wilmington was very white populated, so maybe this is why they were throwing this character in to show a little bit of diversity, but it still was giving tokenism, like I said. Cause
Like she was going to be a part of their story or their life.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, I feel like they could have had Marion, like, be, like, a regular at the cafe as well, so if she was friends with Karen. Like, give her more of a little plot line than just there for that one scene in the whole series, so.
Well, and then, Haley's parents fall off the face of the earth, so it's like, at least having Marion in could... Because you really think she's going to just leave... Like, it seems like she's close to the kids, too. So it's like, you really think that, okay, Haley's parents leave, but she's not going to leave.
Right.
So again, when Haley goes through all of the stuff she goes through, if she's not going to Karen, you would think she'd go to Marion.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that. Because that's what I would do. I'd be like, okay, I don't want to go to my best friend's mom, but I'll go to my mom's best friend.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, so anyone Haley ever knew in her life is just gone.
Basically.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like this lady who seems to be so involved in your life, knows everything, but yet just goes away.
Yeah, I think the only few people that don't leave Haley's life is like Nathan and
Nathan. Well, he is a star of the show.
Because like I can't remember if,
that's it.
The River Court guys all like move in together and they move out of Tree Hill, right? With Mouth, I think, when they're adults. So they're not there either. I can't remember. But I guess Whitey was the one that stayed in Tree Hill the whole time, but then he disappears too.
Everyone disappears at some point. Besides, obviously, Mouth and Skills. They're the only ones that stay through the rest of the series. But again...
like Fergie and Junk were living with them too, so I was wondering.
But again, Mouth and Skills were more Lucas's friend.
Right.
I think they hung around Haley because if she was around, well then, okay. But otherwise, it did seem like Lucas had two different lives even then. It was like, these are my River Court friends, and then this is my other friend. It didn't really seem like they associated a lot, because it didn't really seem like Haley, even in the first season, didn't seem like she was like really truly close to Mouth or Skills, because like you think she would. It definitely seemed like Lucas had two different lives.
Yeah, they didn't really show Skills and Haley until that one episode when they had to do that writing assignment together, so.
Yeah, but I'm just, even Mouth, it wasn't like they seemed close. I mean, yeah, he did the cheerleading thing, but even then you would be like, cool, my friend is here. It just seemed like, oh, well, this is just Mouth. You know what I mean? You would think if this person has been in your life since you were a kid, you'd have, be close to the person.
Yeah, because the only times Haley was at the River Court was for that one-on-one game with Nathan, and then when Lucas was in the hospital, but she was never there just for, like...
To watch him.
Yeah, for Lucas, so...
Yeah, and apparently they didn't go to Karen's Cafe, ever.
Well, no, because they had...
No, I'm just saying because Haley would have been there, so she would have seen them and hung out with them.
Oh, the boys didn't go to cafe.
Yeah, as in that's where the two worlds would have collided too. Is if they would have went there after, like, okay, let's say they went to the River Court, then they could have went to Karen's Cafe to get a drink or something
or
food. Yeah, it's like, and then Haley would have been there, and then they could have stayed up late at night, like hanging out. Like I don't know, there could have been.
Yeah, because...
The one world. Why did it have to be, like, two different worlds? Like, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, because not even Skills walked in there once, so...
Because I will say, at least Dawson's Creek, like, remember they kind of acted like it was Dawson and Joey. But then it was Dawson and Pacey. Because, like, they were two best friends, but they were two best friends that hated each other. Well, at least they were around each other. Like, they were still the three of them. Even though the two hated each other. It was like, at least they made that one world. But here, it's two different worlds.
And then Haley's mom, Lydia, walks in to show Marion an article in the newspaper, and that's when she sees Nathan. And she asks if he climbed through Haley's bedroom window again, or did he actually locate their front door this time?
Front door.
Yep. And then Haley asks to talk to her mom and dad. Lydia asks if she's pregnant with child, bun in the oven, and Marion tells Lydia to stop. She knows Haley is a virgin. It's a damn shame. And Haley asks her mom if they can talk to her and her dad.
Oh my God. But again, an adult looking at a teenager, saying it's a shame that she's still a virgin. It's like,
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, the creepy side, yeah.
And also, it's your best friend's daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be encouraging that. Yeah.
No, but you're old. You're talking about your best friend's daughter's boyfriend and saying like, "Oh, it's a damn shame." It's like, ew, like he's a boy. I know, it's just gross. I'm like, again, why?
Yeah. And then Lydia opens the window to yell to her husband Jim to get in the kitchen.
She's pregnant. Okay, wouldn't that make your dad mad to hear?
Right.
Because even if you are pregnant, you kind of have to like lead in with something, and for your mom to just, she's pregnant. It's like, what? Like, what kind of mom would just like shout that?
Right, for the neighbors to hear.
And for the dad, like, it's not even like, okay, I know she's pregnant, so I'm going to just lead this in with something that won't make him or as mad. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just was weird. I'm like, who just yells Haley's pregnant to their husband?
Yeah. And then I forgot one of the girls on Drama Queens to point out that this kind of shows like how their family is, you know, with assuming that Haley's pregnant. So maybe I'm guessing Taylor probably had at least a scare before.
No,
they suspected that.
Well, I mean, I think they just probably thought that, you know, Taylor slept with everybody. That, you know, I don't know.
I'm just thinking that's probably where they got it. Like, Taylor probably had one of those moments, so they thought maybe Haley did too.
No, I didn't get that. Because we didn't know Taylor.
Right, I'm just saying, now knowing the show. And the girls pointing that out. And then we flash back to the present moment as Nathan and Haley step into Dan's hospital room. Dan is still unconscious. Nathan asks the nurse if he's going to die. The nurse says for him to talk to his mom. She's in the chapel. I feel like in real life they could have just told Nathan that answer instead of saying ask your mom, you know? Since he's his son.
Do you think they did that because he's underage?
No, I don't think so.
And like they don't want to break the news to him, so we'll let the person that's next to kin or whatever.
I don't know. I did take law and ethics in college for medical situations, but I did miss a class because, ironically enough, my dad was in the hospital. But so that could have been mentioned. I don't know, because there was so much information I could barely keep up with it all. But yeah, that could be a reason maybe. But I just still thought it was weird because it just seemed like a yes or no answer maybe.
Well, I know, but then you're telling a kid, yeah, your dad's gonna die. I mean, because maybe the mom doesn't want him to know.
Like, I know,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I know if they aren't sure, they usually say like ask the doctor, you know, not the nurses. But I don't know.
Because that's the whole thing too, is maybe they don't say it because what if the parent doesn't want them to know and they want it to come from them?
Right.
So maybe that's why too they don't say it, and they say, you know, talk to him like she has the information because then she can tell you whatever she wants to tell you.
Yeah. And then back to Keith and Lucas with the pros and cons list. And so far they got reasons to stay are Dan, because he was an ass. And then Lucas was an ass with Brooke and Peyton. And then the audio shop, you know, belonging to Dan. Keith's new job. You know, both can get a fresh start. Karen breaking Keith's heart. The apartment has a great view. So Keith asks what else, and Lucas says Nathan, and Keith assumes it's about the marriage and starts writing his name on the stage side. But Lucas says Nathan is the reason to go back.
That was cute, because at first Keith's like, you're right. I'm going to put Nathan over here. And Lucas like, no, he's the reason to go. And it's like, yeah, because unlike you and your brother, Lucas doesn't want to screw his brother over.
Right. Yeah, because he says he was wrong about him, he's a good guy, and him and Haley being married is kind of weird, but he's glad for them.
Well, and I feel like, you know, Nathan and Lucas are supposed to be the kids and making mistakes.
Yeah.
And they did, but they're trying, you know, like they repaired it. Where Dan and Keith, it's like they've never repaired their relationship. It's just always dysfunction. And you would think that they would look at these two and be like, we need to be like them, but they're not. They continue to, you know, ruin each other's lives. You know what I mean? Like, look at the kids who aren't making those mistakes.
Right. And then, Keith says he's proud of Lucas for getting to know Nathan, and if he thinks he should go home, then he should.
But apparently Keith doesn't.
Yeah. And he says that he's not ready to face things he's not proud of, because obviously he's not going to tell Lucas about Deb, but... Yeah, so Lucas just tells Keith...
I slept with your stepmom.
Yeah. Lucas tells Keith that, he's a little sad about him going back. Lucas can tell Keith is a little sad about him going back when Keith says he's going for a walk, even though Keith says he's good, he just needs air. And then the next scene is with Deb in the chapel, and Haley and Nathan walk in. Nathan asks Deb what happened with Dan. Deb explains she found him at the beach house on the floor. She called 911, but they said she might have called too late. Nathan tells Deb it's not her fault. Deb brings up the time when Nathan was little and had to have his tonsils removed, and she came to the same chapel that night and sobbed because she had the worst feeling that something was going to go wrong and that she was going to lose him. And then Haley tells Deb her and Nathan are there for her, whatever she needs, and puts her hand on Deb's shoulder.
And then she feels that she has a ring on her finger.
Mm-hmm.
And then looks at her hand and sees the ring, and then right away reaches for Nathan's hand, sees that he has a ring on his finger too.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah. Nathan explains they were going to tell her today.
Yeah, sure he was.
Yeah. And Haley goes to say to Deb that she loves her son very much, and Deb repeats, tell her what to Nathan, because she said that before Haley said that.
Well, yeah, she wants Nathan to say it.
Yeah.
She don't like Haley anymore.
Mm-hmm. Nathan confesses him and Haley got married.
And then she goes, "This is a joke."
Yeah, she just starts laughing hysterically.
And then, "It's not a joke, Mom."
Mm-hmm.
And how'd you like the one she said to shut up to Haley?
Yeah, I didn't like it. And, because she says Dan is unconscious and he may or may not be her husband at this point. And, because she tells Haley to shut up twice because she kept trying to speak, even though she was trying to help Nathan, because she was going at it.
Well, how'd you like when she said, "Shut your selfish little mouth up"?
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Which is true. Like, what has Haley ever done to her?
Right.
I mean, except for make Nathan better.
Mm-hmm. And I really didn't like how Deb told Nathan that he's the one that did this to his father. He's the reason he's here. Yeah, so that's when Haley spoke up again, and Nathan speaks up towards his mom now after she said that to Haley. And Deb tells Nathan that he walked away from Dan, and then to Haley that she helped him do it. They're both to blame, and then walks out of the chapel. So,
like, I get that you are blaming yourself, but there's no reason that you need to blame your son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Deb stops in the hallway to stop when Karen comes from around the corner. Karen asks what's wrong. Deb says Dan's going to die, and she explains he had a heart attack. This is news to Karen because she was just there to see Whitey. Karen comforts Deb, saying again he's going to die if she stops more, and that's her fault. And then later at the cafe, Deb tells Karen that Nathan and Haley got married, and Karen says that's not the Haley James she knows.
And she goes, "You mean Haley Scott?"
Mm-hmm.
Which is true. That's what I mean. Is like, it's so out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would... Again, like, this seems like her first boyfriend. Why would you marry him?
Right. And then Deb acts, she doesn't know whether to laugh or cry or throw up, but she already laughed in the chapel about it, and then crying,
And got mad. So it's like she kind of already did everything.
Yeah, except for the throw up, at least.
Yeah.
And then Deb continues saying that Dan's in the hospital, Nathan's married, and then Keith, and then Karen thinks Deb, means letting him know about Dan, and not the fact that she slept with him. So Karen asks Deb if she caught him. Deb says she did, and Karen says...
He's good in a crisis.
Yeah. And Deb, in that moment, was probably thinking, yeah, I'm good in bed, too. And then Deb changes the subject by saying that it's how's it possible that Nathan and Haley could get married? But she should know, at least on Nathan's end, that he can do what he wants after he's emancipated. And
maybe she don't know that.
And then she doesn't even know Haley's parents, so she doesn't know, if they would be against her or not. So it's not too far a reach.
Now she's probably just thinking, how do I get this annulled?
Yeah. And then go back to the flashback of Haley and Nathan at Haley's parents' house again.
So annoying.
Yeah, I feel like they could just do this in one scene, but her dad walked in, and just like Lydia, Jim asked if Nathan came through the window again. And Lydia says he found the front door, and Jim
nice work, Nate.
Yep. And then, what do they owe this surprise? And
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you like it, who her father was?
I don't know him.
Huey Lewis?
No.
He's a singer.
Okay, yeah, I don't.
And what's Haley? What's Haley?
A singer?
Uh-huh. Isn't that funny? They got a singer to be her father.
Right, but they never show him singing, so I wouldn't even think about it.
No, it's just, but anybody that knows would think that's funny.
Yeah. And then, so Haley calls him daddy, so he knows that it's going to be expensive. Haley says that they know she's an extremely cautious person and considers things from every angle and just doesn't jump into things, even though this kind of feels like it does. And then Leah brings
Let's see. Earlier in the day, you were mad because he had porn and his ex-girlfriend on the computer. Now all of a sudden you're getting married. Yeah, right. You think things through, don't you?
Mm-hmm. And that was funny how Lydia says, brings up, like, getting to the point in the conversation, and Nathan steps in and says, as they know, he's emancipated from his parents, and he respects them both very much. And Jim says he thinks he knows where this is going, and tells Nathan that if they
can't adopt him.
Making out with Haley's got to stop, at least in public. Haley rolls her eyes. And it's funny how Haley and Nathan are trying to be, serious with them, but Jim is the one making jokes and interrupting them from getting to their point. And then Haley gets fed up with it and asks her parents to be serious for 1 minute. And they're finally silent, so Nathan tells them that he would like to marry their daughter. And like Deb, they start laughing in a joking manner, and not hysterical like Deb, but, once they see that Haley and Nathan aren't laughing with them, they stop and look at each other.
And she says, I'll discuss this with your father.
Yeah. And Haley is surprised that they're willing to make a discussion, and Lydia says that if it's what she wants.
That's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
what do you mean annoying?
If this is what you want.
Oh, then we'll discuss it.
I don't care what you want. Like, getting married, you're underage. I'm not going to give my teenage daughter or my teenage son permission to get married when you're in high school. Like, no.
Right.
So I'm not even going to discuss this because the answer is no.
Yeah, well, we know later why Lydia said that, so.
I don't agree with it. You can get mad at me all day long, but the answer is no.
Yeah, but I think if they didn't give her permission, she still would have at least tried to still get married.
Don't know how. It wouldn't have been legal.
Right. But Haley and Nathan look at each other, and Haley tells her mom that it is what she wants.
So I looked it up. Some states, you only need one parent. It's permission.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they were in that state, she would have only needed her mother's permission, clearly.
But was that present day or 20 years ago?
I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, I mean, obviously each state is different, but...
yeah, because that's what my grandma did with my mom, for her to get married to my dad when she was 16, so that's probably what it was too at this time. And then, so then back to Brooke and Peyton. Brooke is storming off while Peyton tries catching up to her. After they get off the boat, Brooke tells Peyton she should have told her. Peyton says she knows, and Brooke asks, like, why didn't she, and why would she hide it from her? And Peyton answers because they were having fun. Having their friendship back was great. And she figured with
okay, so she's trying to repair her friendship, but she's not going to tell her about the letter. And it's like, she already knows it's going to make Brooke mad by keeping it a secret. So why would you keep it a secret? Just tell her.
She says that she didn't want to ruin what they...
Well, you just did. Like, that's the whole thing is, okay, so you're going to wait till tonight or tomorrow. You're still going to ruin it. So you might as well do it earlier in the day when you first saw the envelope. Then she wouldn't have been mad. Because if you would have went to her and said, hey, I just found this on my door, she wouldn't have been mad at all.
Right.
But no, let's just ruin the whole day because you wanted to keep it a secret.
She said she figured with Lucas gone, it didn't matter what was in the letter because it was going to just come between them. And Brooke asks why she would think that, and Payne says that, like, remember when they used to get up every Tuesday morning and go to the mall? And, and then they spend half the day in her bedroom just listening to music. And then that was just Tuesday, so you used to do a lot of great stuff until guys got in the way. And then Brooke says she was actually just going to the mall with her to check out a boy. And Payne says she was 9. And Brooke says, what's her point? And Payne says, sorry again. She should have known. They should have shown her the letter But considering their history, it scared her. She just wanted her friend back for a little while. And Brooke then forgives her, and they have a cute little walk together down the pier. So that's all wrapped up then. Yeah, and then Haley goes to the cafe. She sees it's closed during the day.
Mrs. Scott.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah. And then, Haley hugs her and says she's sorry. She wished she could have been there, but it was so sudden.
It was very sudden. I don't know how they got anybody to marry them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe the priest of the family, maybe, or something. That know Lydia and Jim. So then Haley asks, Deb's there because she must have told Karen about this.
She's at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
She's really upset.
Yeah. And
which, I mean, is very shocking. Like, your husband is in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want a divorce from the man, and you blame yourself, and then your son is married, and you don't know. Like, you just found out. Like, of course you're going to be mad, and emotions are going to be running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even Karen asked her if that surprised her, and Haley said a little. She can understand Dan, but Deb's always been supportive of her.
And she goes, yeah, that's when you were dating, not married. It's like, yep.
Mm-hmm. And Haley asks Karen how she feels. Karen
says it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Haley says it matters to her, because she thinks highly of Karen, being kind of like a mother figure to her. And Karen says to Haley she knows that she and Nathan are in love. And, because she was also in love in high school, but sometimes that love fades, and she just hopes with all her heart that doesn't fade for her.
Because Karen didn't go on and marry Dan in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good thing she didn't.
Yeah, and then just because Nathan is Dan's son.
Yep.
So she's just really hoping this works out for Haley.
Well, especially Nathan was a jerk, so it's like, I hope he continues to be nice to you the rest of your life.
Yeah. And then back with Lucas, he calls Nathan, and, knows it's been weird for them, but he wanted to call because Nathan knows what he's going to say, so he tells Lucas Dan is still unconscious, but he knows that he's just waiting for him to wake up on his own terms, and Lucas tells Nathan he's there for him and Haley, just call if they need anything.
What did you think, though, when he said the crazy 48 hours?
Yeah, I don't know, it seemed like
48 hours, unless we're going to the basketball game.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, it's been 48 hours now for Nathan and Haley to discuss marriage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they spend all day trying to convince people, and then the next day they're telling people. So it's like, I guess for them, 48 hours, but not for Dan's heart attack.
Mm-mm.
I don't understand that one. It's only been 24 or less than that.
Mm-hmm. Then we flash back to Haley's parents talking about it. Lydia tells Jim that Nathan is emancipated, and Haley just needs their permission. And then Jim points out that up until an hour ago, this boy came in and went through a second-story window like a horny cat burglar. And
I will say, though, her parents are very
understandable.
Because most parents would be highly upset if their daughter's boyfriend was emancipated and he has his own apartment. You know what I mean? Like, that's scary for a parent. And the fact that they're just cool with it, and then they're just cool with, or especially your mom, is just cool with her getting married. It's like, huh?
I think I
don't understand.
I feel like a parent would only understand that maybe if they were in the same situation that Haley and Nathan are in, getting married that young, and liking Nathan enough to trust that he's good for their daughter,
No, they just started dating. It does not make sense. You just started dating.
Yeah.
A couple, you've been together a month or two, and now you're married. That does not make sense to me.
Yeah, I just know, like, my dad would have been fine if I got married that young.
After, like, a month of knowing this person?
No, he was talking about years.
Okay, years.
Different person.
Okay, years. Not a month or two. That's what I mean. Would your dad have been okay with, after a month or two of dating somebody, to just marry this person?
No.
No! Especially when you haven't even really gotten to know this person, because this person just comes through your window. You know what I mean? He's never really been around the family. So It's very strange that you're going to let your daughter marry this person that you have no clue who he really is. Yeah, you're only hearing what your daughter's telling you, which your daughter is going to tell you all the good things so that she can marry. You know what I mean? Because you want your parents to like him. You want your parents to let you still see him. So you're not going to say all the bad crap.
Right. Yeah, I just think that the writers didn't know they were going to have them get married like this at the end of season 1. So they had no reason to bring in Haley's parents in before until now. So that's why it's kind of like this.
Well, I mean, it was written in the finale.
I know, I'm talking about, like, before that. Like, they had no reason to bring their parents in before until now. So that's why it was written out that way at the last second.
I mean, we still could have cut our parents out of this story. And we still could have just been told by Nathan and Haley that her parents were cool with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I didn't need to see all this because...
Well, I feel like you would have complained that we didn't see them.
No, because I'm complaining the fact that they're too understandable. Mm-hmm. I agree with her dad. What's wrong with... And I'm not even going to go with college. I'm going to say 18. Like, where I am not legally responsible for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, again, most people, you break up, you go... What teenagers are really going to truly stick together? Clearly, Nathan and Haley weren't going. You know what I mean? Like, they had their troubles. It's like, and this is, again, like Haley's first relationship. Mm-hmm. We're going to base it on her first relationship, and we're going to just, after a month or two, go ahead and get married. No. Right. No. And again, it's one thing to do this when you're 18 and you don't have to get anybody's permission. Mm-hmm. It's, like, really just annoying. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Well, parents would just be understandable. Right. And again, when her mom says to her dad, well, my parents, didn't want me to marry you, and we did anyway, obviously when they were older.
I don't know how old, yeah.
But it's like, but the problem is, they waited. They got to know each other. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then, by the time they got married, it was... set in stone, like, we're supposed to be together.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of couples getting married after just knowing each other for a few days.
Okay, so. Are they teenagers?
Not as far as I know.
Because your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25. Mm-hmm. And the fact that these are like 16-year-olds, yeah. Their brains are definitely not there. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's like, no, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. And Lydia says that Jim knows their daughter, and she's never done a hasty thing in her life. Most days, she's more mature than they are. I kind of wish they didn't name him Jim, because it takes me a second to think and not say Tim. But anyways.
No, I thought you were going to say because the last name's James.
No. But by this point, Haley's on the stairs listening to them talking in the living room.
And she's loving that her mom is sticking up for her.
Yeah, but I didn't even know she was, when I first watched this, I didn't even think she was going to be there during their conversation.
I would.
I thought she would
I'd want to know what my parents were saying.
Yeah, I thought she'd be back at the apartment with Nathan or something and waiting.
No, because remember, she ends up getting her... No, this had to be... I don't even know what day it is anymore then. Because she ends up getting her stuff, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And then Lydia, says Haley and Nathan are in love. Jim's still fighting it, but... because he wants them to wait until after college.
Yeah, that's what I mean is, mm-hmm. What is wrong with getting to know the person before you get married?
Yeah. And then Lydia says, if they forbid her to do it, she'll hate them and keep seeing Nathan, and maybe she gets pregnant, drops out of school, turns into, to a life of prostitution.
And he says stop it, because it's like, that's not Haley, but either was one getting married, so.
Yeah, she kept going, too, about smoking crack and sleeping in the gutter.
So, which is very strange that that's what you're going to say about your daughter.
I think she was just joking, but yeah, it was...
It's not, but it's not funny like you're talking about your own daughter. Right. That you raised. Mm-hmm.
And then, so Jim asked why didn't she listen, Lydia didn't listen to her parents, and she said it was because she loved him. And,
but a part of her...
Loved them less.
Because,
Yeah, what she saw in him. And then Brooke and Peyton are at the beach at night now with a bonfire. Brooke says she thinks she's done with boyfriends for a while, and Peyton says, right, Brooke Davis solo. Brooke says
which is true. But I mean, I do agree with Brooke when she's like, basically, she's not done with boys. She's done with relationships, which
Mm-hmm.
Peyton said in season 1, Brooke's not the relationship person. So
Right.
it is understandable that Brooke's like, no, I'm done with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not done with boys.
Yeah, she's like hooking up with them is easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peyton says she's been thinking about that she doesn't want to read Lucas's letter, and she hands it to Brooke and tells her she can read it if she wants.
I'd still read it.
Yeah. And then, Brooke asks if she's sure, she doesn't want to read it. And she says it's not going to change how she feels, so, about Lucas or what, and Payne says, about him, her, herself, Brooke, it's not going to change about anything. And then, she asks Brooke if she's tired of measuring herself by, what guys think, and she needs to stop chasing boys and just focus on herself more. So then Brooke throws the letter into the bonfire because she doesn't want to read it either, and puts her fist out towards Peyton for a fist bump, and they say, hold it for bros again. And then Brooke watches the envelope burn and says she hoped it wasn't money. And then back with Keith, he gets to school to see the board that says, welcome, Mr. Scott. And he smiles and then checks the place out and sees a car with the windshield shattered. So then we go back to the night when Dan caught him and Deb together with Dan's messed up window. And someone saying his name brings Keith back to the present. It's Lucas. And Keith looks around like he just realized he was in the school's auto shop for the first time. And then he tells Lucas he was just there listening to that voice in his head, saying that if they leave today, then they never come back. And then Lucas asks, what is this? The voice in his heart says. He tells Lucas he knows that's not fair. He knows Dan's a bad guy. And Lucas says to himself he hoped he would die. And Lucas says he said that for him. He knows how bad he wants this fresh start. And Keith asks Lucas, if he wants this, and Lucas says he does. And then Keith cuts him off and says that why should they have to give it up? He has never been a father to him. He loved his mom when she was pregnant, and he pushes Nathan until he cracks under the strain. Why Deb, every single life he touches is worse because of it, and now they're supposed to give it all up, and it's our need. Then he apologizes to Lucas, but, just to give him a single reason why he should go back, and Lucas says because he's his brother. Now, I don't think that's a good enough reason, because sometimes even family...
You hate your brother.
Yeah, sometimes just because it's, family doesn't mean that should be the reason why you give them another chance or forgive them or something, Sometimes that's not enough.
No, sometimes that's enough to be done with them forever.
Mm-hmm.
And to never see them again. And, hope they die.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, especially if they're causing this much. You know what I mean? Like, Dan is just so evil. But again, none of them want him dead. Strange.
Mm-hmm. And then back at Haley's parents, she packed up her things and takes one last look at her bedroom before turning the light off. And in the next scene, Karen goes to visit Dan in the hospital. She goes to see what room he's in, but the nurse tells her that he's in the ICU. Only in
What did you think when she said that he is my son's father?
Well, I feel like that wouldn't have been enough for her to go in there.
It would have been enough for her son.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're not family.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I would have been like, but ma'am, you're still not family. Right. Why couldn't she just say he's my brother?
Right.
It's not like they check your ID.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just didn't make any sense. I'm like, why wouldn't she just say something else besides he's my son's father?
Right. And I feel like she didn't even need to ask what room he was in because she had seen Deb earlier that day or yesterday or whatever, and Deb had just came out of the room.
Well, even if she didn't know that, why couldn't she just ask Deb what room was he in?
Right, unless she didn't already know, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but if, let's say Deb was in there or she was showing up when Karen was leaving, she would have seen her.
Yeah.
So it's like you would have had that % that she would walk in at any point. So
so this little thing was just pointless.
Yeah.
And then with Whitey, the doctor tells him the tumor is pressing against his brain, affecting his vision, and they're going to remove it in the morning, but there's risks. And then...
well, there's always risks with surgery.
Yeah, I was just pointing out, that's what he said. But I feel like this was like the the last bit of it, and it's never mentioned again.
No.
So apparently Whitey just was fine after that, I guess.
He just woke up fine.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan gets home to the apartment to find Haley crying with CDs in front of her. Because apparently she was alphabetizing their CDs, and they don't have any doubles, so they don't have like any music in common. And Nathan sees that Haley took her wedding ring off and sat on the table. And
now, this is what I mean. Like, you're not mature enough for marriage.
Yeah, like she isn't, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're that solid, whatever people say
Mm-hmm.
won't affect you. And if it does, you still won't take off your wedding ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to make it, I'm like, this is what proves that you're still a child and that you shouldn't be getting married.
Yeah.
Because she says, well, nobody, you know, like, we made a mistake and that, you know, nobody agrees. And it's like, but Haley, if you're 18, 19, 20, maybe they would. But the fact that you're in high school, of course nobody is agreeing with you. And also, clearly you're not even agreeing with it. Because you're ready to give up.
Yeah,
and that doesn't show marriage to me.
Yeah, she says she wants to go home.
And also, if you're Nathan, wouldn't you be like at that point, like, we did make a mistake, because why would I want to marry somebody that is ready to give up the first sign of trouble?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean is, that's not solid to me. But again, their relationship right before this wasn't solid.
Mm-hmm.
She was ready to give up again. So it's like, it's not meaning that you should, this should not happen.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that it was the music that threw her off, because it seemed like there was nothing else that really made her emotional. It was just funny how she said she's not a wife, she's not even a senior, and
well, she is a wife, clearly. Legally.
Yeah, so Nathan thinks that they can work, and he picks up the ring and puts it back in her finger.
And flashback.
Well, he tells her that he promised her that he will always be there for her, he will always protect her, and he repeats protecting her, then adds always. And then, yeah, we go back to the wedding day. That's during the day, not at night like they said it was.
Mm-hmm. So this is my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was my main problem.
Yeah, me too.
Was that we, after the game, which is what, 10, 11 at night?
Mm-hmm.
And then with flashback to here, it's daytime. Like, first of all, the whole telling her parents and agreeing was that was already a stretch. And then, because who are they now going to go and try to get to marry them? Even that day.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And then,
you have to be friends with the priest or something.
And then to say, let's do this at night, at midnight. Who's going to agree for that? Because that's bedtime. And then, but now that's not bedtime. Like, now it's not midnight. It's during the day. And also, how does she have a wedding dress already? Like, it's just, there's a lot of questions. But again, the main one is, why is it during the day? Yeah. And also, you wrote the episode. And you know what's weird? Watching it. Earlier in the episode, they bring up nighttime. Let's do, tonight.
Yeah, they got married last night. Yeah, they said that specifically.
No, but they also said tonight. When the flashback. I'm saying, when they wrote it, as in when the creator wrote it, I'm saying even if he wasn't a part of the finale, when he wrote it this episode, he put in there, in the flashback, he specifically put in tonight, which means dark time.
Yeah.
Then, in the same episode that he wrote, he put in daytime. A wedding. I'm like, it's one thing if it was like an episode and it was like, I didn't write it, people, but you wrote this one. Like, you can't go backwards to where it doesn't make sense.
I also think, too, maybe the dress used to be Lydia's. That's how she could have got it the last second, I'm thinking. But yeah, so they're at the beach, and which I was surprised about maybe being a church, too. But
so nobody's on the beach.
Right. And then Nathan puts the wedding ring on her finger for the first time. He says his vows, which is...
And also, how did the girl get her hair done and make, like...
Her mom, probably.
But all in one night? The girl was just crying the last episode because Lucas was leaving and she was spending the night with Nathan. And Nathan, he was so happy to get married. It's like, did you forget what just happened at the game? Like, that would just turn your mood...
Right, yeah.
To not happiness.
Well, I guess...
Like normal people.
Yeah, well, I guess getting married to Haley just, overpowered all of that. losing the game and everything.
Most people say let's postpone.
Yeah, it just didn't matter to him. But with
okay, Nathan, basketball doesn't matter. Losing the game doesn't matter.
Not right now.
Right.
He wants to marry Haley.
Doesn't make sense for Nathan.
I thought maybe.
But then again, this whole story doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so his vows, he says someday this beach might wash away, and the oceans may dry, the sun could dim, but on that day he'll still be loving
The sun will dim because it's supposed to be dim.
Always and forever, he promises her. Haley's parents are there, of course, and then they exchange their traditional script for the ceremony. Haley smiles at her parents, and then we go back to present day where Lucas walks into the cafe while Haley's voice continues the vows. Karen and Lucas hug. Then we go to Whitey in the hospital where Haley repeats in sickness and in health. I feel like they did that on purpose with the vows to match the scene that they were showing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because who's the one going through in sickness and in health and richer and poorer and all that?
Yeah, with Deb looking at the divorce papers and sees that Dan didn't get past writing the first letter. Yeah, D. Before having his heart attack. Haley says for better or worse. Brooke and Peyton, the better or worse, are messing around on the beach as Haley says she promises that she will love and cherish Nathan, and then the fun comes to a halt when Lucas walks up toward Brooke and Peyton, and you can still see the envelope in the bonfire with the edges only burnt, so that wasn't even, there was no point in there, it wasn't going to even burn.
Which is weird because if you put some in the fire,
yeah, you would make sure it does. Yeah.
Well, it's gonna burn.
Yeah. So it looks like it was just placed there just as he walked up. And then
but it wasn't because they were sitting there for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just saying that how it looked like. It looked like it was.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and Haley says, and she will deny all those that come between them. And then we see Keith walk up to Deb in Dan's room at the hospital. Haley says she promises for eternity.
This was funny because Dan wakes up and sees Keith and Deb hugging. I love it.
Yep, and Haley says a promise that she will keep forever, and of course, this is when Dan wakes up.
That was funny.
Haley ends it with, until the end of time, till death do they part.
Yeah, that was funny. So for me, the high, Dan waking up because it's about to get good. I really didn't care for it. The whole thing was flashbacks, and I didn't care for it because it was the same flashbacks. I didn't need to see the same scenes again, just add-ons. I didn't care for any of that. We could have made new ones, people. Also, too many continuity issues for this episode. So, yeah, I guess Dan waking up because that was the only good part. And then the low, the rest of it. Again, too many continuity issues. I didn't like it. What about you?
Well, without the chaos that didn't make sense beforehand, I still like the wedding on the beach with Haley and Nathan, and then the low was and then I also did like how Karen was happy to see Lucas back, but the low I think was Lucas, because if his letter didn't ruin Payne and Brooke's day, it was definitely him coming back at that moment.
Yeah, let's not read the letter because it'll ruin us, but let's have the actual person show up.
Yeah, and how did he even know they were there is my question as well.
Well, I know because it's not like Brooke told anybody. Maybe she told her parents, but why would Lucas go to Brooke's house? And he would only go to Peyton's, and Peyton has nobody at home to say where she's at.
Right.
So yeah, that's
that
weird.
didn't make sense to me either, yeah.
And they never go to the beach. So why would they be? Everyone's been on the beach. The wedding, Peyton and Brooke, and Keith and Lucas.
Yeah, except that was technically a different beach.
No, but I'm just saying it was a beach episode.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the first season, did they ever show the beach?
I don't know.
It definitely was not beachy.
Well, Dan, but that's because he was at the beach house. But
right.
That, yeah. And
but
and Nathan and Haley were there that one time when they were drinking, so yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't really have a beach, but this was a beach episode, I feel like.
Yeah. So, rating?
6.
Yeah, I didn't like how they just continued with the flashbacks again, like the finale of season 1. So I'd say like a 7.5 because it was still somewhat entertaining with Haley and Nathan getting married and then Dan waking up at the end like that, so.
I mean, we didn't really learn much.
Besides for Haley's parents.
Yeah, and we finally got to see them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just continued of the same story. And then, so for my best, I'm going to say Lucas, because I liked that he had the maturity to come back, unlike Keith, who wants to continue to run away. And I like that he's coming back for Nathan. I love their brotherly bond. It's just so cute. I'm sorry, but everybody else was just so bad. You know what I mean? And then the worst, Haley's mom allowing her daughter to get married. And then, because she was kind of like pressing the issue with her husband who was against it. It's like, he has his own feelings. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, my worst was Deb, because I didn't like how she yelled at Nathan and Haley in the chapel about them getting married and blaming their actions for Dana's heart attack and for being in the hospital. Because that can just be really bad for Nathan and any guilt that he could carry on from that.
Well, in your relationship with your own son. Because that could be a killer. That could be, I don't want to ever see you again, mother.
And then the best is Nathan, because he still had faith that him and Haley would work out, even when she was having doubts. So he was kind of like a rock for her in that moment. Even like I said, it seemed kind of silly that she was, it was about the CDs. Like, I feel like she could have been upset about Deb. I think that would have made more sense why she was upset. Like,
yeah, like, your mother hates me. She used to like me.
Yeah, so I think that's what she should have said in that scene, but yeah.
And Karen had the disapproval without saying it. You could tell. So it's like the adults who I respect kind of hate me.
Yeah.
And in your teenage way, that's what you're going to say. Even though it's not that they hate you, it's just that they don't agree with what you're doing. But as a teenager, you're going to say they hate you. So that, she could. And that was the thing, was he could have said, like, I believe in us.
Which he did, but yeah. But he
he did.
But he could have said, like, I don't care what my mom thinks.
Right, so. But that's my thing, is it would have come off better by her saying that, it's Deb, it's Karen, it's Lucas, it's all these people who don't respect this and don't agree. And he could have then said, I believe in us. Like, that's enough. And it's like, that would have been better by being about CDs, because then he wouldn't need his little speech, would he?
No,
Besides, I'll still, he could have still had that protection thing, but it would have been better, to come off with the adults.
Yeah, like, I'll protect you from their, opinions or what they may do or say, So, yeah.
What's the next episode?
Episode 2, Truth Doesn't Make a Noise.
Hopefully it's better than this one.
It's like the aftermath of all of this, so I feel like this will feel like more of a...
another filler?
Season finale. I mean, beginning.
Well, this was definitely not a good opener for a season.
It's like a part 2 of the
finale.
Yeah.
I didn't need it. So let's hope the next one is actually let's just think that's the opening. The next episode.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.